1944, the government began to make plans for a post-war world. It passed the Town and Country Planning Act, which gave councils greater power to rebuild their towns and cities. In 1944, the Doncaster Borough Surveyor and Highways Committee came up with a plan. They asked the council to show it to an external planning expert, but they refused and put it on public display. Part of the plan expanded on pre-war schemes that had never been implemented. It included 3 bus stations, widening of nearly all the town centre streets, building 2 new ring roads, and the demolition of nearly all buildings on South Parade for a civic centre. The plan's sternest critic was an engineer, C.E. Farron, an independent voice. He was particularly scathing of a proposal to put a road through St George's Churchyard, and he also pointed out that the widening of the High Street would result in the demolition of either the Mansion House or the Westminster Bank. He thought the whole plan was just a scheme to get as many cars into and through town as quickly as possible. It was against this background that just after the war, on the 14th June 1945, 11 people gathered at 28 South Parade, the home of Mrs. Miller, a keen student of town planning. They decided to form a new society, interested in the preservation and recording of ancient buildings and houses of architectural interest in the neighbourhood. In the chair for this first meeting was an architect, E.H. Walker, whose father had designed the Clock Corner building. The newly formed Civic Trust nearly foundered, but in October 1947, C. Farron took over as chairman. Major Farron was to be chair for the next 22 years, and he made the trust a recognised and respected organisation. His deputy, elected in 1947, was a scientist with the LNER called T. Henry Turner. Turner was a man with ideas ahead of his time. He was a great advocate of public participation in planning, even well before the Planning Acts came into force. It wasn't long before the first major task faced the Civic Trust, a plan to resist the proposed building of a power plant at Crimpsall. The Civic Trust opposed the plan and suggested the new plant should be built at Thorpe Marsh, which later became the main power station after the Crimpsall plant closed. Despite their opposition, the power station at Crimpsall was built. The objections to the power station, put forward by Turner, were later validated. When, in 1970, a technical assessor said the building of the station had been a poor planning choice and that it was pouring out fine dust and sulphur all over the town, much as Turner had predicted. This would not be the last of the Civic Trust's many campaigns to preserve, protect and promote Doncaster's heritage.